Hello, welcome to The Rankers. My name's Kyle Wright, and with me once again is Stuart McPhee. How are you tonight, Stuart?
Kyle Wright, you son of a bitch. I'm great. Always good to see you.
Yes, always great to see you as well. All right, so as promised last time, we are going down the long and winding road on a magical mystery tour like some fools on a hill and attempting to rank our, maybe not the best Beatles songs, but our favourite top 20 Beatles songs. Stuart, how do you feel about this endeavour?
It feels overwhelming. I guess for two reasons. First of all, the Beatles, for quite a lot of people, it's a sacred text. But also there is just a huge amount, and no doubt we'll get into it as we discuss the band. Basically what it feels like a short period of time that they were a band. They go through every single iteration that you can think of in terms of popular music. And it's not that they went through it; they created it, and so there is such a huge amount. And when I was going through them, and obviously a 20 for a lot of people will change on a daily basis. Heck, even probably a top 5 will change here and there, but we have to land on something. And so I think ultimately, if we go with this is the 20 that we've come up with each today, then that's as best as we can do. How about yourself?
Yeah, look, this was a much easier task for me to do. I've had my top 20 sitting there for a very long time. I'm, as you hinted at the last episode we did together, I'm a bit more of a Beatles aficionado. What is your history with the Beatles?
So I wasn't part of the band, so let's get that out of the way. My history with them...
You know that's not what I meant.
No, I know. I definitely knew that. And this probably lays my credentials out before we get into the 20s, that if I had to think of my first memory of the Beatles, it's probably one of two things. It's probably the Stars on 45 Beatles medley, which was probably early 80s, and no doubt got a run on radio and the like. And then it was probably... Matthew Broderick lip syncing to Twist and Shout in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Because, yeah.
Are you what's it? The one with Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson. What's that TV series called?
True
Detective. Yeah. Have you watched the most recent series of that?
I have. The one set up in Alaska? In
Alaska, yeah.
Yep.
And when they go into the lab or whatever, they're watching Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and they have...
That's right.
She was just 17 on repeat, and
yes.
She tells them to shut it off.
Yes.
Anyway, sorry, that just triggered a memory there.
Yeah, so yeah, would have been Stars on 45, would have been Ferris Bueller, and I just don't think we were much of a Beatles household, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I'm the complete opposite. So for those who don't know, my father's a drummer. So we were always around music, and his favourite band of all time is obviously the Beatles. Pretty sure he tells a story that he snuck out as a 14-year-old to go and see the Beatles when they played in Brisbane at Festival Hall. It gets remembered for the time that someone got up on stage and shook John Lennon's hand. And he tells me back then they'd play 2 shows in one night, and it was literally a half-hour gig, but they'd still get through like 8, 9 or 10 songs in that time, given, what they were writing 1.5, 2-minute pop songs of that time. And obviously a different era in concert going. I mean, you could not get away with a half-hour gig these days, especially charging $360 a ticket. So yeah, very different. So anyway, we grew up. I pretty much only listened to the Beatles as a youngster. That's pretty much that. Well, that's all I can remember listening to. And then obviously that's where the love of Oasis comes from, because Offspring, Oasis were the first bands that I really branched off on my own from my father's sort of like influence. So She Was Just 17 was probably my first favourite Beatles songs, and there's been many favourite Beatles songs from then on in. So shall we get crack-a-lack in here, Stuart, and
Sure.
get on to our top 20? I'll let you start, Stuart, because I'm very interested to see what makes the cut of your top 20.
Yeah, and we didn't even do a pre-chat where we usually try to guess how many overlap there's going to be.
Okay, so I'm thinking it's only going to be 5 or 6.
Yeah, I was going to say that, but I'm going with 4, but we'll see how we go.
All right, we'll see.
Yep. So I'm going to start at number 20 with a album cut from Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Don't know if you've heard of that album before. It's called the song is called "Getting Better." Domestic violence issues aside in the lyrics, it is a great poppy tune. It feels like it's been used in a dozen ad campaigns. But that's
Better Homes and Gardens theme song, isn't it?
It probably is. It sounds like it's probably been used for a health insurance commercial as well. But in the end, that's the beauty of such catchy songs. They will, similar to "Wouldn't It Be Nice" by the Beach Boys and how that was used in lottery ads for ages and probably still is. That's what a great pop song can do. So that's where I'm starting. As I said, the domestic violence lyrics we'll put to one side. It's just a great tune. So Getting Better from 67's Sgt. Pepper's album at number 20 for me.
Yeah, great pickup, Stuart. I mean, obviously any song you pick in this top 20 is going to be a fantastic choice. But yes, completely agree with you. What a fantastic album.
Sorry, you say that, but you haven't heard the other 19 songs I'm going to mention.
You're off to a great start, Stuart, for someone who is, not Beatle-esque themselves. Fantastic start. Hasn't made my top 20. In fact, I've got a wide selection, so I haven't really stuck to one or two albums, although I did notice in reflection of my top 20, it's very John Lennon sung heavy, which I found actually interesting when I looked back at my choices. So anyway, I've actually gone for my 20th pick, a song that actually wasn't recorded, well, not fully recorded or released as part of their original run. And so my 20th song is Real Love, which was, I think, released as part of the Beatles Anthology when George, Ringo and Paul got together to record some backing vocals and backing tracks to some not sure if they were lost, but some old John Lennon recordings. And one of them was Real Love, which is produced really well and, again, very catchy. And John Lennon just had this brilliant way of putting lyrics together, finding a melody and just, make a song, beautiful, for lack of a better word. So that's my 20th pick.
Nice one. I remember it being a pretty big sort of find in terms of what it would have been then 25 years since the last Beatles album. For that to come out, it was for everyone who had been sort of waiting for something for so long to latch onto something. So no, great pick.
Well, I think it was the clearest of the recordings because they did do another song as well. Can't think of it off the top of my head, but the vocals weren't as clear on that one.
Was it Free as a Bird? Was that it?
Free as a Bird, yeah.
Yeah. And I imagine also the technology has gotten infinitely better since 95. I know that last song that they came out with that was sort of helped by
was that AI?
Sorry, no. Well, some of the video clip technology was pretty bad, but I think some of the technology that Peter Jackson's company worked on helped sort of separate vocals and clean things up. Number 19 for me, I think this song, along with Tomorrow Never Knows, essentially created Tame Impala, and that is It's All Too Much off the Yellow Submarine album.
Yep.
I remember, when was it? A couple of years ago, my daughter was in kindergarten and they must have been going through listening to songs that had colours in the title. Because I remember she came home and said, I want to hear that song about oranges. And I thought, you meaning Orange Crush by R.E.M.? She goes, yeah, that's the one. I said, do you know what that's actually about? Never mind, we'll talk about it when you're older and you can understand geopolitics in Vietnam. then she obviously heard Yellow Submarine, and she loves that song because she's a child. Obviously, she would, and so we'd play the Yellow Submarine soundtrack. And yeah, I remember then "It's All Too Much" came on, going, sounds like a really good Tame Impala track. And then because I thought maybe it just skipped on to something else, but lo and behold, it was still the Beatles. And yeah, that sort of very trippy sort of backwoods guitar sort of stuff, along with, as I said, Tomorrow Never Knows, I think, is sort of exhibit 1A and 1B of what Kevin Parker then took and created. Particularly those first couple of Tame Impala albums, but yeah, really great album cut from Yellow Submarine. It's All Too Much.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that may have been at the peak of their sitar use within their songs. I know definitely on Tomorrow Never Knows, but also on that one, not too much. Yep. What a great choice there, Stuart, once again. Again, not making my 20. For my 19, I've gone off studio album again. I've gone with something that was released on the Past Masters compilation. And it was my next favorite Beatles song after She Was Just 17, and that is Revolution. Do you have that one on your list there, Stuart?
I do. I have it at number 11.
Okay, so
but we can talk about it now.
Let's not break with the formula there, Stuart, and let's talk about it at your number 11.
Okay.
Let's not be revolutionary.
No, well, actually, let's be revolutionary. At number 18, I've got Rocky Raccoon from the White Album.
Well, that is revolutionary. Okay, talk us through that one. That hasn't made my top 20.
No, I wouldn't think so. This is also just an album cut. So yeah, the first 3 songs of mine, in fact, I think the first 4 weren't singles at all. This is a ridiculous song. It's absolutely ridiculous, but it's catchy. And this is very much McCartney in full goofball mode. Mm-hmm. It fits perfectly in the potpourri of what is the White Album. Whilst most of the others, you can get a bit of a sense of sort of thematic. This is very much feels like it's a double album masking 4 solo albums essentially. It's a country story song. It's a bit vaudevillian. It inspired the character's name of Rocket Raccoon in Guardians of the Galaxy as well. I remember this. We had a lodger at our place when I was 10, 11, 12, and he had the White Album, and I remember him playing it, and and Rocky Raccoon just stuck out to me as a very silly song, but also, like I said, quite lovable and catchy. I have been writing a fictional detective story that is set within the world of Rocky Raccoon, as well as Richard Marx's Hazard album, and trying to combine the two. So I've been sort of living and breathing this song for quite a while, far too long, but it would be remiss of me not to include it in my 20s. So it's at number 18.
Yeah, great pick. I reckon this is a song that the Beatles snobs would snub their nose at, but secretly love listening to, with their headphones on and a glass of red as they sit down to retire for the night. Yeah, you're 100% correct on this song. It is probably one of the greatest, stories told within a song, and you can just picture everything as it happens. I really love the mention of, Gideon's Bible, and, there's love lost and, a fight within a fight sort of thing as part of this as well. So yes, excellent pick up there, Stuart. And I think that was the period of the band where they were just done. And so they were like, anything we've got completed, let's just chuck it on this double album and let's get out of here and do our own thing. All right. So I've gone with the first of my ballads for number 18. I have a feeling this may be on your list, but I've gone with Nowhere Man from Rubber Soul.
No, not on my list.
Not on your list. Anyway, so Nowhere Man is, again, that double vocal on there. I'm pretty sure this is a Lennon, mostly Lennon sung track as well. I'd love to discuss. This is probably a good time to discuss this point. I've always got this theory about the Lennon and McCartney writing partnership. I think as a songwriter, Lennon was probably more consistent with the songs that he wrote, and probably had less, what would you call, bangers, whereas McCartney probably had more of the bangers and less of the consistency throughout his writing. And I think that shows a lot in their solo work, because you probably got, songs like Jet and Live and Let Die and all those sorts of songs, which are real, like great banging songs, whereas Lennon probably had the more, consistent level of, songwriting throughout that solo career with Imagine and a couple of other bangers, but not to that Paul McCartney level. And I think both of them together really were able to be the strength of that the other one didn't have. So you could have that consistency and that banger in there. But Nowhere Man, just a really nice ballad. Brings all the instruments together, really well produced, and just one of those peak Rubber Soul songs.
Yeah, nice one. Number 17, I've gone with I've Got a Feeling from Let It Be.
Yep.
My understanding is a combination of two unfinished songs that then became a single song in the recording process, which can often bring some amazing results, and I think it is the case here. Speaking about Paul and John, this is not them harmonizing. This is them taking different parts of the song, their own parts, and bringing it to the fore. And I also quite like that. I mean, that they're great harmonizing together, but I do love them both sort of taking sort of different elements of the lead vocal, almost like our mates Liam and Noel, when they want to get together. And so I know there are people, usually Beatles aficionados, who will poo-poo elements of Let It Be, particularly the production and Phil Spector's work on it. But I think this is a great tune from the back end of their career. So number 17, I've Got a Feeling.
Yeah, another great pick. When I went to, I don't know, you didn't go see Paul McCartney when he last came out? No. So when he last came out, he actually did I've Got a Feeling, but actually had John Lennon on the screens behind him doing his part.
Nice.
Didn't interact together, but Paul did his part live and John did his part on the screen, obviously. And what I find really interesting about this song, it's almost like the songwriting roles have been reversed, and McCartney's got the more serious side to this song, whereas Lennon gets a bit goofy with this song. Have a wet dream, everybody pull your socks up, all that sort of stuff. Whereas and then Paul's got the more serious side, which is tended to be the other way around, especially with songs like Maxwell's Silver Hammer and the song you mentioned before, Getting Better. Excellent choice. All right. My number 17 is from an earlier album of A Hard Day's Night, and it's a song called You Can't Do That. I can't imagine you have that on your top 20. No. So again, you mentioned in your summation there of Getting Better, this is another one with those prickly lyrics that could come up in modern times about, you better run for your life if you can, little girl. If I'll find it, make him dead or something like that. So there's a bit of murder and intrigue in this one, but one of those early bangers that really stands out, a real catchy tune. And the chorus on this one's just fantastic, and just that lively, even though the lyrics are on that darker side, it's got that, and I think they did that really well. That has that real poppier feel to it. So there you go. Number 17 for me is You Can't Do That off A Hard Day's Night.
Nice one. I have to go back and check that one out. Number 16, I've gone with the first single on my list, a non-album single, which was par for the course for most of the Beatles singles, Paperback Writer.
Oh, great song. Didn't make my list, but talk us through it.
So number 1 UK, number 1 Australia, number 1 US. Not surprised there. It is a story song like Rocky Raccoon. It's also excuse me, very much taken in whole by the Monkees for Last Train to Clarksdale, I reckon. The Paul's riff. It sounds like, and this is us bringing up and by us I mean me, bring up Oasis again. I believe it was cut louder than any other Beatles record up to that time, which was it the brick walling method or whatever that Owen Morris came up with to make Oasis songs louder than any other song on a jukebox.
I think I saw some reel come up or something with Liam talking about the other day, and he said, I think he just turned it up. He just turned it up. That's all he did. And so,
that's all he did, yeah.
Maybe this is what the Beatles did with this one.
That's right, yeah. So it was apparently a new piece of equipment used in the mastering process, referred to as automatic transient overload control, which sounds like
I've done your research.
It sounds like some Spinal Tap bullshit to me. But it's just a great tune. Like I said, another story song. I believe it was one of their relatives who said, can you write anything other than just a love song, and that's what they came up with. So some of us aspire to be paperback writers, and so there you go.
Number 16. Nice. Yeah, that one does have a great a story behind it too, with the please, sir, madam, will you take a look? And they really get that rhyming going in there with the story. It's just amazing the way that they were able to write songs like that.
Yep.
All right. My next one, what are we at? We're still on 16. I'm going to the album Help here, which I think was a film as well. And I've gone with, you probably know this one well. Noel did a cover of this one. You've Got to Hide Your Love Away. Do you have that one on your list?
I do. That's a little bit further down, number 7.
Fair enough. All right. We'll save that discussion to number 7.
Okay. Number 15 for me is Across the Universe, also from Let It Be. Is that on your list?
That was just outside my top 20. So talk us through it.
So another album cut. You mentioned about Beatles being the thing that got you into Oasis. As you know, I'm a big Crowded House fan, which would lend myself to being a Beatles fan, but it hasn't really translated. But this is certainly the first of many Beatles songs where I can see the linkage, particularly lyrically. Crowded House's biggest song, Don't Dream It's Over, has the line, try to catch a deluge in a paper cup, which I believe was nicked from this song, with the words are flowing out like endless rain into a paper cup. And this is, whilst coming a few years after their influence in transcendental meditation in around 67, 68, the problem is that the Beatles nerds watching this will be up on it, but the time frames of when songs were released, particularly in the last 3-4 years, are very much all over the shop, and there are songs that were written a while earlier, and to your point when you mentioned about White Album having any old song that they had going, those last couple are very much the sort of can be seen as from a batch of writing a few years earlier, which is why that sort of that meditation period of their time in India was still prevalent on an album that was released in 1970. So yeah, Across the Universe from Let It Be, my
Excellent.
number 15.
Yeah, wonderful choice there. I think that I Am Sam, which had a lot of Beatles covers on there, I think that was one of the better covers on that one. And I know BDI did a really good cover of that one. Really hard to find that one, but yeah, great choice.
I Am Sam will actually be mentioned in my next song. So
lovely.
A bit of sizzle for number 14.
Excellent. So that was around my 21, 22 there, so just didn't quite make the cut for me. All right. My 15, I've gone back to the White Album, one of my favourite all-time Beatles songs, and that is Dear Prudence. Do you have that one on yours?
I don't know.
So this is very keyboard influenced. So I'm assuming this is Billy Preston's role in this one as one of the later members of the Beatles, not officially, of course. Again, ballady, but still having that lovely, brilliant riff behind it. And if you were to turn the White Album into a single album, let's say 10 to 12 songs, Dear Prudence definitely makes the cut. Not sure your Rocky Raccoon would, but got a feeling Dear Prudence would make on this one. You got a come out and play, and then it's got the lovely harmonies and the melodies and everything behind it. And I think one of the stronger of those, that, you know, how you were just talking about those last three albums and, you know, a bit of a let's get it all together and get it out of here. I think one of the better written songs from that period.
Yep. Very good. Very good. So I'm still on Let It Be. I think that I'm just looking this. Yeah, this is the third one. Third of four all up on from Let It Be. Two of Us, which, as I mentioned, was also a song that was in the I Am Sam soundtrack. I believe there was two different versions of this on there, depending on what country you came from. Back when CDs had bonus tracks, depending on if you lived in Japan or the US or whatever. So the version that I remember quite fondly, sticking with the Crowded House theme, was Neil and Liam Finn's duet on that. To me, it feels like the last proper Lennon-McCartney duet.
Mm-hmm.
It opens the album. I believe it's Harrison playing bass on a six string, just playing the bass parts on that. Without this song, I think the band the Jayhawks don't exist. The Jayhawks basically have built their career on this really great two-part harmony style, and Two of Us is just a lovely, beautiful song. So had to fit it in there, and it came in at number 14 for me.
Excellent. Great choice. All right. What are we up to? 14?
Yep.
All right. I'm going to Yellow Submarine for my next pick, and I've got a feeling that this one is not on your top 20, and that is Habledog.
No, it's not.
No. And this is simply in the top 20 for one of the greatest bass lines in rock music. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with this song too much, but it's dum 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 dum.
Yep.
Apologies to everyone now just falling over or crashing their car because of some terrible bass line singing there. But yeah, just an absolutely cracking rock song. Lyrics make zero sense, but that doesn't matter because this is probably a prequel to a song that I'm going to talk about later, which is considered the first ever grunge song. So this one's probably the prequel, the warm up, the special guest, the opening act for the song, which I will talk about in a few songs' time. So
right.
There you go. I've got Habledog at number 14.
Nice one. I don't think this is the song you're thinking of. I think I know what it is. So 13 for me is from the White Album. It's Back in the USSR.
Yeah, I don't have that one.
Yeah.
Talk
very much a Beach Boys influence in it. This was, in the height of the period of Brian Wilson trying to one-up Lennon McCartney.
Oh, yeah.
And where the Beatles, nick some early Beach Boys style, overlay it with a bit of Cold War imagery. And it's with that the jet sound. It's an absolute joy to begin what is a crazy trip that is the White Album. So always enjoyed this number. Very much a throwback to the early rock style that they inherited from the Chuck Berrys of the world. Back in the USSR.
Well, it's interesting. Interesting you say that because apparently it was a song that was written many years before the White Album was released, and it was one that they, reworked or looked at again and made the cut for the White Album.
And that would make sense, given it feels like it's more around that 62, 63, particularly around, the crisis with, between the US and Russia at that time over Cuba. So, that makes a lot of sense. So,
yeah. And I love your take on the back and forth with the Beach Boys on that one because it's sort of like the California Girls equivalent,
Yeah.
So
yes.
Yeah. And just a bit of off topic here and throwing back to our previous episode, which was biopics. An interesting biopic could be a Beatles versus Beach Boys and the back and forth they had in that time. Anyway, as
Absolutely.
I said, off topic.
Yep.
All right. So my number 13, going with a John Lennon sung one again off Rubber Soul, and that is Norwegian Wood, This Bird Has Flown. Have you got that one on your list?
I don't know.
No. Okay. So this is, I think it's essentially just acoustic guitar. And it's John's attempt at a story, meeting a girl, spending the night. He sleeps in the bath. I think it was just to rhyme, but made it there. And it's only a minute and a half, I think, maybe even a bit less. And just a really well woven song, beautiful, melodic, and just and it's such an easy song to sing, such an easy song for someone to pick up on the guitar, and you just, it's one of those Beatles campfire songs, or, and even if you don't know it well enough to sing along, you have probably heard it at one point or another. So anyway, for me, number 13 is Norwegian Wood.
Very good. And speaking of the emotion in John's vocals, I've gone with Help from the album Help. This is an absolute banging tune, and every time I hear the slow cover version by John Farnham, I want to weep. I fucking hate it. I don't know why other people enjoy it. It should be recorded. If you're going to do it, record it exactly how the Beatles did it, because it cannot be improved on. And I think, in a way, Farnham's cover paved the way for every movie trailer that's come out in the last 15, 20 years that uses a popular song and has slowed it down to within an inch of its life. And Farnham will pay big one day for this.
Okay, cool. I don't have Help on my list. It's actually a song I used to do in the band I was in. Pretty fun song to sing, to be honest. I have a feeling Deep Purple. Oh no, is it Vanilla? Oh, can't think of the name. Anyway,
Fudge?
Vanilla Fudge. That's it. I think they did a cover version of Help. They did slow it down, but I think it's tons better than the John Farnham version you're talking about. It's actually, I think it's been covered quite a few times, just off the top of my head, without actually looking that up. All right, my number 11, just missing.
12.
No, 12. My number 12, just missing out on the top 10, is off Abbey Road. My first one off Abbey Road, and Come Together. Have you got that one on your list?
Yeah, I do. It's number 4.
Number 4. Okay. Well, let's move on to number 11 then.
Which was one that you did mention earlier, Revolution, which I believe was the B-side for Hey Jude. I could be wrong.
I'm sure
we'll go with that.
Someone will let us know.
Well, you did have it earlier. For me, I had it down as it's a proto-solo Lennon song in the mode of instant karma, power to the people.
It's the first real protesty sort of song.
I certainly prefer this version to the one that's on the White Album, which is a little bit more bluesy from memory, and certainly not the same as it Revolution 8, which is something else entirely.
Revolution number 9.
Yeah, a Revolution
number 9.
Yeah. But there was also Revolution
number 9,
I think, on the White Album. But yes.
I actually really like the film clip version of this one, where they do the shoo-wop, doo-wops in the chorus.
Right.
Yeah, one of the very first music videos I remember watching, actually. And this just has a cracking riff to it, doesn't it? It's just, and you just know something's coming with it. And I think around the time I really started enjoying this song, I was starting to, well, not get political, but, be more aware of the things going on around the world. And it kind of, hit a nerve there, if that makes any sense. So, as I said before, my second favorite song after She Was Just 17. So, yeah, excellent. All right. My number 11, I alluded to this one earlier, and this is what many consider to be the first ever grunge song. And I've got Helter Skelter from the White Album. Do you have that one on your list?
I don't know.
Don't? Oh, okay. So Helter Skelter is Paul McCartney. I think it was influenced by the Charles Manson murders at the time. So it's about, in the song, it's getting to the top of the slide and going down for a ride. And it's just a really heavy bass and drums and going through the entire song there. And a lot of people consider it the first ever grunge song. heavy bass through it. I think it might even be fuzz bass if I am remembering correctly. And just I think McCartney closes with it, or if he doesn't, it at least closes his main set. And it's just one hell of a song. And as I was mentioning before, it's one of my favorite McCartney belters.
Nice one. Very good. Very good. So that takes us to number 10.
Yes.
This is my fourth and final song from Let It Be, and I've gone with Get Back.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which was a single. Is this on your list?
Not on my list, and I'm surprised that your Let It Be songs have finished.
Ended?
Yes.
Well, I'd just like to keep you on your toes. You mentioned Billy Preston before. By this stage, Billy Preston was well entrenched within the recording.
I think he may have been the only thing keeping them together.
I think you're right. Preston's great on this. Lennon's guitar is great. Yeah, what more can I say? You know, Paul's vocals are really good. If it's not Billy Preston trying to keep the band together, it's certainly Paul. I think it's a culmination of all those individual efforts of brilliance. Keeping it going. So yeah, Get Back at number 10 for me.
Yeah, absolutely, cracking song. Did make my top 20, but you could do a top 50 easy.
I was just going to say it was a single as well, and number one across the board in the three main territories.
There you go. All right, I move on to, in my top 10, rounding it out, one of the Beatles' most popular ballads, probably. This is probably more of a Paul McCartney song than it is a Beatles song. I don't know how much influence Lennon had on this one, especially given when they performed it live, it was just McCartney and his acoustic guitar. And this one comes from the Help album, and it is the song Yesterday. Do you have that one on your list?
Yeah, just a couple of spots down.
All right, we may as well talk about it now. This is the story of a breakup, I'm assuming, and talking about how life was better yesterday, hence the name of the song. Just such a beautiful acoustic ballad. Paul's vocals on this are fantastic. Pretty sure it was fairly early in the piece, and I think it was actually the first song that wasn't recorded with, how they did the dubbing of both Lennon and McCartney's vocals. This was the first actual solo sung song that the Beatles recorded. Yep.
I had down on my notes as essentially a Paul solo number, as you said. I believe it wasn't released as a single in the UK, but was in the US and Australia. I only got to number 2 in Australia. I don't know off the top of my head what beat it out. But the anecdote I really liked was during the filming of Help, Paul was still working on the song, and there was a piano on set, and he would continually tinker away at this song, and the director, Richard Lester, lost his temper at McCartney, telling him to finish writing the fucking song or he would have the piano removed. And I don't know if that spurred him on to complete it finally, but there you go. Obviously, true perfection has to be imperfect, as Noel once told us. And Yesterday got to number 8 on my list.
So pretty close together.
Yep.
All right, your number 9 then?
My number 9 is from the Revolver album, Got to Get You Into My Life.
Oh, cracking song. Don't have this one.
This feels like it's a Motown number. Like there's great horns in it. It's a tight pop soul song, probably the most American sounding song. And what I mean by that is obviously they're very influenced by Chuck Berry and that 50s rock. But this is the first time that it feels like they're being influenced by something that's modern in America at the time. Motown was really hitting its stride in around 65, 66 when this song was put together. If this was done either as a Motown or a Stax single, with a really great horn section, I wouldn't bat an eyelid. But yeah, it's a great tune. It feels like it's different from a lot of the others on the list, and I think that's why I dig it. So also not released as a single. at number 9, Got to Get You Into My Life.
Yeah, it's a cracking song. Love it when it comes on in Minions as well. Had to watch that many, many times. But yeah, no, you're 100% right about that one. Again, one of those, when I talk about, Lennon having the more probably consistent writing, and McCartney could bring out the bangers, and this is definitely one of those. So excellent choice there. All right, I've backed up what's probably the most popular ballad to what is my favourite Beatles ballad, and it's off Rubber Soul, and that is In My Life. You got that one on your list?
I don't know.
Whenever anyone asks me morbidly, what is your funeral song? This probably has to be up there with one of the choices, along with Live Forever. This is a Lennon one, if my memory serves me correct. Again, just the way that Lennon's able to combine the harmonies, the melody, and he gets up with Paul in the story writing in this one, and it's just such a lovely song. And like you've got those big songs on Rubber Soul, and this one is just like mellows it out. Joins in with Norwegian Wood and just mellows it a bit out from the big ups and downs of Rubber Soul. So In My Life comes in for me at number 9.
Very good. Now, I've already mentioned my number 8, which was Yesterday. So what's your number 8, sir?
My number 8 comes from the Magical Mystery Tour disc or album, and that is Strawberry Fields Forever. You got that one?
I do not. I have been thinking a lot about Strawberry Fields for a different project that I'm working on. But no, I do not have it in my top 20.
So again, I think this is a John one. Probably, well, it's Magical Mystery Tour. So it's probably the start of their psychedelic phase. We've got the keyboards on this one. I'm not sure if it's actually related to someone who went to Strawberry Fields or whether it was just John going past it and finding a story from there. But having been out to Strawberry Fields myself, run down now, of course, but and there's a lot of people who have signed on some plaques and things that are there at Strawberry Fields. But yeah, just one of those songs, easy to listen to. Lennon at his peak, Lennon at his peak, maybe LSD, but definitely at his peak songwriting. So Strawberry Fields Forever gets in at my number 8. And again, another one that Noel has covered quite well.
Yeah, and am I right in thinking Strawberry Fields was it was the gardens out the front of a Salvation Army home? Is that correct?
I don't know if it's Salvation Army, but I think it was like for kids in care or something like that. Yeah.
Yep, there you go. So that takes us to number 7, I believe.
It does.
So I have. So I did have Yesterday at 8 from Help. Also from Help, You've Got to Hide Your Love Away, which wasn't a single, but I believe they've sort of they created taken from the filming a video clip, which is like it's a really great crisp. It almost feels like it was recorded, in just the other day, the video clip for it. It's got a flute solo in it. Similar vein to Ruby Tuesday a year later from, shall I say, the superior group, the Rolling Stones? Shall I start some shit? Ruby Tuesday, double A side with Let's Spend the Night Together. You know what's a fucking great song? Let's Spend the Night Together by the Rolling Stones. You've Got to Hide Your Love Away is a great tune. You had it earlier in your list, right?
I did. I think it was 16. Yeah.
16, yep. And as you said, was covered by the lads. B-side for, was it something off Morning Glory, or I'm just trying to remember. It was a B-side for maybe even Don't Go Away from Be Possibly. Here Now. Yeah. Anyway. 7, You've Got to Hide Your Love Away.
Excellent. All right. My number 7 is of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, and it is Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Do you have this one on your list?
I do not. For the very same reason that I do not have the song that was the thing for the Wonder Years, because when it's done better by a different artist, I choose that, and I think John's version is superior. But please,
really,
yes.
Really, oh yes. Wow. Actually, not a huge fan of that cover.
Really?
Yeah, no, totally. So again, I think John had to fight off rumors that Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds was code for LSD, when we all know it was from a picture that Julian had drawn on the that had been magneted on the fridge at home when John was ever at home. And so this is, if Strawberry Fields Forever isn't peak Lennon on LSD, definitely Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds is absolutely beautiful song, ripping chorus, which in my opinion is ruined by Elton John in his version, and a bit too reggae for my liking. So I'm not sure where we're going with that one there, Stuart. We agree on a lot of things, but we're not going to be agreeing on this one.
No.
Again, just that whole flow of Sgt. Pepper's and is fantastic. And this one, I think it's third or fourth song on the track listing, and just hits you really hard, and a really lovely song as well.
Very good. Whilst we may not agree, and this is a nice segue into number 6, We Can Work It Out. A non-album single once again from 65. They were really in their bag in 65, 66. The key lyric, and probably one of my favourite Beatles lyrics, is "Life is very short and there's no time for fussing and fighting, my friend."
Yeah.
If only they kept up that mantra for they may still have continued on in the 70s. The harmonium, I think that's the instrument, the breakdown in the bridge of the song is really brilliant as well. It's a great upbeat tune. And yeah, I think that sort of 65, 66 is my favourite period of the Beatles. It's before it starts to get a bit loosey-goosey, but they've shed the sort of the mop top image a little bit. So yeah,
it might have been just after they had stopped touring, and
yes,
so they're still liking each other, and they're writing some great stuff. Because they had to stop touring because they couldn't hear themselves on stage, which is an amazing thing to think about, because when you listen to any recordings from their live shows, it's spot on, and how they were able to manage to do that is, just shows what excellent musicians they were.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. All right. Cracking choice, by the way. All right. My number 6 is from my last one from the White Album, and that is While My Guitar Gently Weeps, my first George Harrison entry.
Very good. I've got a Harrison entry coming up in just a second, but please tell us about While My Guitar Gently Weeps.
So I haven't, I think we've discussed this before, but I haven't got into the Peter Jackson Beatles, documentary thing. Hard for me to watch as someone who's been in bands before, and it's hard to watch those interactions. And I've been through that for many, many years. But I think one thing that I've been told about it is that I think Paul and John may be sitting in a cafe somewhere and probably mentioning the fact that they probably should have or should be giving George a bit more of a go with his songwriting. And it's not I do have another George entry later on, but this is a fantastic song. Really pulls at the heartstrings. It's got a lovely sort of like riff through it. It's the verses are very sweet, and the chorus pulls at you again. Just a really wonderfully put together song. And as we've said, the White Album's a bit of a mishmash, but this is pure quality and probably the best song on the album, in my opinion, anyway.
Good selection. So yes, Harrison then comes in at number 5, which I think you've foreshadowed. I've chosen Something. Is that?
Yeah, I've got that at number 4, so probably a really good time to talk about it.
Cool. So off Abbey Road. Sinatra called it the greatest love song of the last 50 years.
Did he try to cover it?
I think he did, but I don't know if it was. I don't know if there was a version that was released. I think there's been a number of covers of this. For reasons passing understanding, number 4 in the UK is all we've got to.
Wow.
And I know I'm harping on chart placings, but I am also writing a book about songs that got to number 2. So take a wild guess as to what was number 1 when this got to number 4 in the UK.
So are we talking a Beatles song or just a song?
No,
What was
as in the
so
song
this? So
something.
this made number 2, and you want me to guess what?
No, this made number 4.
Oh, this made number 4, and you want me to guess what number 1 was?
Yeah.
What was the year?
It was 69. It would have been.
Okay, it would have been something ridiculous like Kung Fu Fighting or something like that.
No, it's a little too early for that.
Alright.
Archie, Sugar.
Oh well, there you go. How was that
Archies.
even close to something?
I don't know. What is quite ironic though is the number 2 song was the Tremolos with a song called "Call Me Number One,"
Oh wow.
which didn't get to number 1. There you go. But no, beautiful Harrison song, and it was yet another example. To your point about Lennon and McCartney talking about, should we give Harrison a bit more of a shot? This is, because I'm right in thinking from the timeline of things is everything for Let It Be was in the can. It was going to be called Get Back. They put it to one side. They did Abbey Road, and then Let It Be was then compiled. And so that is potentially an offshoot of that conversation by making sure that Harrison got something on Abbey Road, and something is something absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful song. And when Paul does this live now, he actually does it on a ukulele. And he has this lovely story that he tells about George Harrison. It's actually quite funny and sweet, and you just get this feeling that George was this, and because I think his first solo album out of the 4 was probably the best of the debut solo albums. So he is probably sitting on a whole bunch of songs that just didn't get past, Lennon and McCartney. And I mean, Lennon and McCartney got this decade of, history of writing great songs. So obviously it's going to be hard to get through. And I think there was a lot of angst between the members towards the end as well. I think he even brought in Eric Clapton to, promote some of his songs and help it get along. So it had to be a good song to get onto I think Abbey Road was the last one they recorded, but not the last one they released.
Yeah.
So obviously that just shows the quality of the song that it's getting through. The Lennon McCartney wall of sound, as we could say. Just a beautiful song. Of my favorite album my favorite Beatles album. So yeah.
Very good.
Excellent. So you had it 5, I had it 4. So I guess I should reveal my number 5. I've gone with a guilty pleasure on this one, which I tend to do in my rankings. And this was the one I was most confident that you didn't have, but given your selections, I'm now not so sure. So I've gone off Magical Mystery Tour, and it is I Am the Walrus.
No.
So this is an absolute silly song, absolutely ridiculous. I don't know what an Eggman is, let alone Eggmen. And I don't know what they have to do with a walrus. But this is, I think when you started your list with Getting Better and it just being silly. This is another silly one, but catchy as hell. I think it's John at his most playful. And, like other songs that the Beatles have in their back catalogue, Oobla Dee, Oobla Da, like they can turn nothing into something catchy and sing-alongable, for lack of a better word. And you could just, like, if they ever did, reunite and let's say they, played a gig in the 90s or something, obviously with John still being alive, you could just imagine like, goo goo goo, just being like sung through a whole stadium and no one caring what goo 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 means or anything like that. It's just so obviously if I was doing 20 best ever Beatles songs, this wouldn't make it, but it's in my top 5 favorite. Just love it. So my number 5 is I Am the Walrus.
Nice one. Off your favorite album, and a fair chance that it is still amongst the list here. at number 4 is Come Together.
I've already... Oh, I must have missed that one.
Did you mention it earlier and I said
possibly, yes. I had it at number 11, I think.
Oh, sorry. My apologies. There's a slinkiness to it that was, and I'm going to bring up the Stones again. It felt like more of a Stones sort of number. I mean, a double A side with something as well.
Never thought about it that way. Yeah.
A double A side with something, so they sort of work together with number 5 and number 4 on my list. It was the opening track to Abbey Road, and it feels like it's the united one last time before they all went their separate ways. Absolutely love this tune. I think there is a version of this there was a benefit album. Was it the War Child charity album where there was a number of different artists come together, including I think Noel and maybe Paul Weller, maybe McCartney's on it, and they do a version of this. But yeah, Come Together is absolutely banging tune.
Yeah, and here's a bit of self-promotion for one of our previous episodes when we look at the top 10 drummers that we've ranked. And spoiler alert, I've got Ringo Starr at number 1. I think Abbey Road really showcases his development as a drummer, and Come Together, the opening track, it just starts out with, and it has that roll going through it.
Yeah.
The medley towards the end of the Abbey Road as well. I know, having played this album on a rock band, it's extremely hard to get through the drumming. So, great. And what a cracking opening to an album. In my opinion, the best album ever written. Spoiler alert for any future podcasts that we have. And great song to start it off, and excellent. So that was your number 4, is that right?
Yep. And Something was your number 4, wasn't it?
Correct.
Yeah.
Your number 3?
Yeah, so my number 3 is from Revolver. It's Eleanor Rigby. If you find yourself in a pub trivia contest at any one stage, and they ask you what is the number one song number one Beatles song where no Beatles played any of the instruments, this is the answer, Eleanor Rigby.
It's nice.
It's just
you're welcome, everyone out there.
Yeah, you're welcome. Correct. Because it's just the string quartet from memory, and maybe a bit of George Martin work. Double A side with Yellow Submarine, which just feels bonkers when you think about it in terms of a double A side. I mentioned before around the reason why I like the 65-66 period is it is that phase where they're shedding the mop top image and moving into something weird and wonderful, and this feels like it's a really great representation of that. I guess with Yellow Submarine being the flip side of the single, that sort of makes sense, and similar to Paperback Writer and Rocky Raccoon, another sort of story song, which is quite maudlin, but cracking tune nevertheless. Number 1 here, number 1 in the UK, number 11 in the US, because they don't know shit about shit.
Interesting.
So there you have it.
Yeah, great pick. We have been talking about covers of Beatles songs, and I know my dad will back me up on this one, but one of the best covers of a Beatles song, and maybe the best cover of all time, is the Zoots' Eleanor Rigby. Have you heard that one?
Yes. Yeah.
Absolute cracking version. Yeah, great choice.
Aussie band, the Zoot.
Yes, they are. Yeah. Aussie band.
We may need to do a Beatles covers list. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds won't be in my top 5, but
it's definitely not in mine.
I'm still defending it to the hilt. Your number 3, sir.
Maybe an episode just dedicated to the cover of Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Bit of back and forth.
Sure.
I'm going off studio album now for my number 3, which is I've got after being very John heavy, we now get Paul, because as I mentioned before, he's got the bangers. I'm surprised this one may not be on your list, but given that you've got No More Let It Be, you may have this one in your top 2. I've got Hey Jude.
Not on my list.
Didn't make it. My goodness,
No.
boy. So obviously, Hey Jude was Paul McCartney's sort of love letter to Julian in the breakup of John and Cynthia's marriage. And I've been reading a little bit recently about how John may have, I don't know if he actually did, but Julian felt rejected by John at the time of the breakup. And I think Paul could see that. And this song comes out. You go see Paul live. It's the song everyone, na-na-nas with. Again, going back to what we were talking about earlier with the goo-goo-goo-jubes and the oobla-dee, oobla-dahs. Paul's fantastic on the piano here, and just such a great sing-along song. And when you're sitting in a stadium of 45,000 plus people and every single person is looking around at each other singing na 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 na, you just know that it's one of the greatest songs ever written. And so my number 3 for the top 20 Beatles songs is Hey Jude.
Very good. And you said it was on Let It Be, right?
No, Hey Jude wasn't on a studio album. I've got it off the Past Masters, but it was probably a single.
Yep, that makes sense. So my number 2 should have been on Let It Be, but was the B-side to Get Back, and it is Don't Let Me Down.
Wow.
We spoke about the I Am Sam soundtrack. Stereophonics, I think, are the ones that did the version on this.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. You're far more requited with Stereophonics than I am.
And I really like their version. But this to me is the bits of the Beatles that I really enjoy. It's getting into that. It's later period Beatles, but it's more sort of straight ahead rock as opposed to the more experimental stuff. And yeah, it's just one I keep on coming back to over and over again. And yeah, I think it really should have been part of obviously done during the Get Back sessions, but to me would have worked beautifully on Let It Be on the final version, but wasn't. So I'm giving it its flowers here at number 2.
Excellent. I actually think this is one of Paul's best vocal performances on a Beatles track. It is, as you said, absolutely rocking. And I think he's at his peak here vocally on this particular track.
Very good. So that takes us to your number 2, sir.
I am actually really surprised this is not on your list. I've gone for Let It Be as the album Let It Be as well, and it's actually the title track from that album. So I want you to talk us through why it's not on. It doesn't even get in your top 20.
I don't know, similar to Hey Jude, maybe. And that's, I don't know, feels like I've heard it too much, and which is, I'm not being anti for the sake of it. It's just, if I was putting the 20 best Beatles songs together, it would probably make it. Yep. But in terms of my favourite ones, it doesn't, because you could ask 100 people to put their what they believe is the best ones, and Don't Let Me Down certainly wouldn't make the 20, let alone Rocky Raccoon. So, yeah, I think that's, I don't know. I certainly like the album because I got 4 tracks from it on there.
Songs off it, yeah.
Plus Don't Let Me Down. But but what do you love it? What do you have it as number 2?
Very much in the same mould as Hey Jude, and as I've sprouted off many times in this 1 hour and 7 minutes so far of this podcast, Paul could write a banger, and when he wrote a banger, it was such a great song. Let It Be is another one of those, having sat in or stood and sat in a crowd of a Paul McCartney concert and having tens of thousands of people singing that song and all feeling the same thing at the same time. On the recorded version, obviously, as I just mentioned before, Don't Let Me Down, probably Paul's most best vocal performance. For me, this is his most emotional vocal performance, and it shows through, or sounds through is probably the better word to use there, through the recording. And you just know what's coming once you hear that piano intro, and just the changes in it, and then the George coming in on solo towards the end, and it's actually giving me goosebumps as I talk about it now, having been in a crowd and hearing that song. And you say it's overplayed. For me, it's not played enough.
Yep, that's fair enough. Fair enough. You've made the case. So that takes us to number one. I have a feeling we've probably got the same number one.
I have a feeling we do too. And anyone doing a top 20 would probably have this as number one. So
yeah, so
probably not that surprising.
I've chosen Crowded Houses, Not the Girl That You Think You Are. That's not yours? No, okay.
Let's go album first. Let's see if we're still on. Let's see if we're on the same album. Mine's Sgt. Pepper.
Oh, it's from Sgt. Pepper's, is it?
Yes.
Oh no, this is a non-album single.
Okay. All right. Well, so you go first.
Okay. So I've chosen All You Need Is Love.
No. Okay. Yeah. Not in my top 20.
Right. Well, there you go. You'll have to state the case as to why All You Need Is Love is not in your top 20. Tell me.
Well, I've already got Hey Jude. I've already got Let It Be as the big sing-along songs. I do really love All You Need Is Love. Like I do love all Beatles songs, except for maybe number 9. Just can't get it past my top 20. It's probably in the 30 to 20 range, if I'm being honest. Great song, but for me, it's more of a, you know how in the UK they do Christmas singles? It's more of a Christmas single song than like a proper Beatles song, if that makes any sense.
Oh, it's an absolute affront to everything that I stand for, but no, that's fine. No, I can understand it, because it does get so I mean the main reasons for me it's that contrast of the really simplistic lyrics, and they're not, it's not a head scratcher of a song lyrically, but it's got the really nice complex arrangements to it, and then goes obviously George Martin in the in the studio tinkering away, particularly towards the back end of it, and then when they sort of come up with the refrain of "She Loves You" towards the end, and bring it back to that. I just really love it, and I have a feeling this was this the song. There was some sort of big worldwide satellite broadcast, and they filmed this in the studio, and
it actually might have been done in the studios where they did that Peter Jackson thing, and it might have been like a all together towards the end of it sort of thing. So but anyway,
it's at least today, as I said at the start, I could do probably a different 20 tomorrow, and in it, or the same 20 in a slightly different order. But All You Need Is Love, a standalone single from 1967, is my favourite Beatles song.
All right, well, I guess we get to my number one, which I've already hinted is off the Sgt. Pepper's album. I'll let you have a guess, Stuart. Which song do you think it might be?
Well, given my stance on Joe Cocker's version being better, it's not With a Little Help from My Friends, is it?
No, not.
Okay. What else is from that? Now you're going to test my knowledge. There's obviously the title track.
No, not that song.
There's also Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite. I don't think it's that.
Cracking song, but no, not that song.
No, it would have to be Day in the Life, right?
It is A Day in the Life, yes. Yep. Fifth guess lucky. Look, as we've spoken about throughout this podcast, Lennon and McCartney had their strengths as songwriters. Now, I'm pretty sure this is the last track off the Sgt. Pepper's album.
Yep.
And so you get John's like what he was best at, that rhythmic guitar, that lovely, vocals over the top. And you got a bit of cinema to this one. So you've got I'm assuming this is George Martin at his best, with the sound effects in the background and the strings and the everything that's just making this song so epic. And then John's part sort of fades out, and then you've got I woke up, got out of bed, dragged a comb across my head. See, and it's Paul putting on his Cockney accent and just doing that Paul thing that just makes a song. Everyone just want to sing along to a Paul song, and then Paul does his bit, and then it drifts back in, and we got John coming back in. And it's hard for me to go past for any other song to be better than this song in the history of recorded music. You've got probably the two greatest songwriters of all time combining for that. It's almost like a last hurrah of the Lennon-McCartney partnership. And hey, I had this bit of a song, I had this bit of a song. They're completely polar opposites of songs. Like, you would never ever consider them being in the same song. Guess what we're going to do? We're going to put the bits of your song and the bit of my song, we're going to put it together and make the greatest song of all time. And that just shows how awesome the Lennon and McCartney were at their songwriting prowess.
Very good. Well, no, I think a worthy number one for your good self.
Interesting. Oh, well, there we go.
So I think we had maybe four overlaps. So yeah, we're pretty close to our guesses.
Yeah. I mean, it's something that we probably didn't touch on at the start is for a band to have only been together just under 7 years. And I think George Harrison at the time that the Beatles broke up was still only 27 years old. And for these men in their 20s, when most of us haven't got our life figured out, have toured the world, written, 10 of the greatest albums ever to be written. There's so many songs that they wrote in that 7-year period, and songs that still stand the test of time today, that they can still be streaming on Apple Music or Spotify at number one. If a movie comes out that has their song on it, it just shows how great the Beatles were and why it's going to be extremely hard, particularly with the way the music industry is these days, for a band to ever match what they have done.
Well, yeah, particularly because they essentially, to my point at the start, invented a lot of what we now know as popular music. And that's not to say that there's nothing left to explore in this world. But we're no longer a monoculture. We're very fractured. So you're never going to get, I don't think you're going to get the innovation, and you're not going to get the consensus of what is coming out, is what, the majority of people absolutely adore. And we've lost that, and that's fine. But it means that, some people consider, the looking back on that period is, looking through rose-colored glasses, but we're actually enjoying what is essentially the creation of everything that we enjoyed growing up, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Now, before we go, I do want to ask you this question, because as a Beatles fan, I get asked this a lot. And so the question is, which band has come closest to sounding like the Beatles since the Beatles were around? Now, for me, it's a pretty easy answer. A lot of people say, Oasis, because of the English connection, and Noel pretty much ripped off a lot of Beatles in his music. But for me, and you're probably the best person to speak on this, for me, it's actually Crowded House. I think they're the most Beatles sounding band since the Beatles have been around. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's probably one of two bands. It's either Crowded House or Squeeze, and particularly if you hear a song like what's it called? Is that Up the Junction? Which is sounds like a very McCartney-esque song. But I think with Tim and Neil, but Neil in particular, there is not only the vocals that sound like it, but they were the band, particularly when it was a trio for the first couple of albums. They were locked in a way that the Beatles were now. It was just Neil writing the songs, not Neil in a partnership. But if you wanted to add, then when Tim joined the band and you had those 2-part harmonies and you had them writing songs together, that's as close as you're going to get it, I think, in terms of the Beatles. But as great as Crowded House is, I think you're right. Whilst they may have sounded alike, they certainly weren't as innovative as the Beatles were. But yeah, from a pure sound alike point of view, that's as close as you're going to get. And I think, as I joked before, I mentioned my number one, Not the Girl You Think You Are, off their greatest hits album is as close to a Beatles song as you're going to get. And I think
100%.
it came out around the same time as Real Love and Free as a Bird off those Anthology albums. So yeah, it's that makes the most sense. Like I said, Squeeze, I think with Difford and Tilbrook are the two songwriters for Squeeze. They had some very Beatlesque songs as well. But you know, toss a coin between the two bands.
Yeah, I think Neil in particular, he's got what I've spoken about, that John, you know, consistency, but probably with that Split Ends influence. And by the way, how good were they recently?
Yes.
They've got that ability for that Paul, you know, poppier, you know, jokier sort of song as well. So he's really got those both bases covered there on that Lennon McCartney writing partnership.
100%. If you think about, and you know, our mates in Oasis aren't any different, where there'd be a song on each album that would be a little bit jokey and goofy. So, you know, Digsy's Dinner or She's Electric, or, you know, or My Big Mouth, and Crowded House were the same. You know, the first single off Woodface with Tim was Chocolate Cake, which is a very silly song, and I think they were already pissed off at the US label anyway after how the second album went, and so they sort of doubled down on their bile by releasing a single that was had lines about Americans being, you know, foolish and the like, and you know, they had other similar sort of goofy songs like Sister Madly, and so they weren't above the idea of having a vaudeville style number on their albums, and I think that's what you know, to your point, aligns them as well with what Lennon and McCartney were doing.
Cool. All right. Well, I think that brings us to the end of our long and winding road here as we go through as we've been through our top 20 Beatles songs. We hope you have enjoyed it. And of course, with such a great band and such a great catalogue, there's of course going to be controversial misses and controversial entries. So please let us know what you think. Like and subscribe and all that sort of stuff. So if you've made it this far, please do so. Any final words for you, Stuart, before we close off?
No, over to you, sir.
Well, as we always say when we finish an episode of The Rankers, you got to keep them separated. Thanks, everyone.